Well, hello and welcome again to our Embassy of Hope YouTube channel. And we're doing another short devotion on discovering the lost virtue of humility. And this is part three, discovering the lost virtue of humility. We're going through a series of these devotions on humility. And as I stated before, my journey in looking at pride and humility started with myself, my own pride and arrogance. So the deeper I studied, the more I discovered how can lurk in the darkness of your heart, the cracks and crevices of your heart and mind, and not even know about it. And I also discovered humility is really, if you'll see it in the Word of God, it's the highest virtue of God. And so the interesting thing about both pride and humility is they both like to work behind the scenes, so to speak. So, like anything else in life, what's in our heart is going to be revealed in how we live and walk and function. So, I'm going to share today in part three a very personal part of my own journey, my own life, with the hope that you will examine your own heart and motives, as I did. As you go about your daily life as ambassadors of Jesus Christ, you call yourself a follower of Jesus, examine yourself, present yourself to the Lord, and let Him search your heart and your motives. You know, there was a time in my life and in ministry that I thought, you know, bragging about what was happening in the ministry was just letting people know about the great things that God was doing. But I discovered that my boasting was really grounded in self exaltation. In the early days of ministry, I was honestly, no doubt, I'm seriously, I was thankful for what God was doing. And without even knowing it, though, I was giving myself and my ministry the a part of the same spotlight and equal billing with God. Now, I'm not talking about promoting an event or an outreach or something like that. I'm speaking about this constant barrage of self-affirming acts of righteousness and good deeds and showing everybody and telling everybody just so they can pat me on the back for doing a great job for the Lord. And you go, "Oh, I don't do that." Well, let me share a little bit more about what I was doing at one time. For several years, I had a weekly ministry to the homeless and the poor in our community. And once I discovered social media, boy, I daily bombarded people with every wonderful thing that I was doing, that we were doing in the ministry, what it was accomplishing. I was day in and day out, many times a day, post selfies with leaders and volunteers and those that we served, boasting about how many got saved, how many free meals we served, how many people were in attendance, posting tons of pictures. I mean, tons of pictures of every little part of the ministry every week, every day. I was relentless. And one day, as I was in prayer, I felt the Lord speaking to me and telling me that I had pride and arrogance in my heart. Whoa. I wondered what that was all about. I was shocked. I said, Lord, I've always given you thanks and praise for what you're doing. I don't understand what you mean. And so, anyway, I started studying the Word of God and I started looking at different teachings of Jesus and the apostles, and I started being convicted to my those deep things in our heart and our motives started coming to light. You know, it says in Proverbs 16, verse 2, that all the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirit. So over time, I let the Lord weigh my spirit. And I continue to examine my own heart and motives by the word of God. And then I slowly discovered that my daily boasting about what the Lord was doing, there was really this hidden agenda behind it all that I was completely oblivious to. I needed financial funds to run this outreach. And the more I would let the world know what great things we're doing, I believe the greater the chance people would donate. Frankly, it took a lot of money to do what we were doing. And then the Lord opened my eyes up to the comment section of everything I posted on social media. And most of the comments were giving me personal thanks for doing what I was doing, telling me how great I was doing, how wonderful my ministry was. Yes, there were some praising God for me and telling me to keep up the good work. I would even be invited by churches to tell of all the wonderful things that we were doing. And at some point during this season of time, I started to slowly see what I was doing and the motives behind it. Yes, I thank God every day for the honor of serving Him, but the hidden motives of my heart were starting to come to the surface. I would read the words of Jesus when He said, "When you give to the needy, don't sound a trumpet as the hypocrites do in the synagogue and in the streets, so that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." And so I looked closer at the teachings of Jesus and started examining the life of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, the life and teachings of the apostles. And I started noticing more and more how hard they worked to take themselves out of the limelight. And if they were going to boast about anything, it would be their own weaknesses and the sufficiency of God. So, bottom line, I saw for the first time in many years that what I was doing was self affirming me and my ministry. And for some time, I decided to do a test, so to speak. I stopped promoting myself right off the bat, cut her off. Stop boasting about my righteous deeds, my ministry. I didn't say anything. And guess what? God still brought people to the saving knowledge of Christ. God still provided every single need I needed, including financial. Nothing changed at all, except I was no longer in the spotlight. I wasn't sharing the stage with God. And friends, I have to tell you, after a while, it felt good. It felt right. I will admit, for a season, it was like coming off an addiction. I was going through withdrawals from boasting. There were times I wanted so badly to tell the world what wonderful things happened today in our ministry, but I bit my tongue and just thanked God. And I learned to find contentment that He alone knew, and that was enough. Now, let me close with this thought for you. Humility, like all the virtues of Christ, they come to us as we grow in spiritual maturity, and that happens over time. Maybe at this time in your walk with the Lord, you may not be able to relate to what I am saying. You feel you're not acting out of pride or arrogance. Listen, you're not alone. I was that way once. Look at the 12 disciples who walked with the greatest example of humility that there ever was, Jesus. And after 3 years of walking with Jesus and His humility and his teaching on humility, the disciples were still debating among themselves who will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Pride is dangerous. It's a poison. It can hide and lurk in the deepest, darkest places of your heart. Now, I'm doing these devotions so that you might examine yourself, investigate the word of God yourself concerning pride and humility. Judge yourself and allow the Lord to bring to light any wrong motive. Pull back those curtains. Let his light shine on any hidden thing, any hidden pride that might be lurking in the dark. Just something to think about, dear friends, as we continue next time to discover the lost virtue of humility. God bless.